second of all, today, the whole idea of today was a preparatory meeting for the community events that we're trying to hold on the 19th, where there'll be one right after the other. So why don't I go over the schedule, Gabby, and then you can step in a little bit on what your goals are? All right.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Sure. I just didn't want to make it too loud after all that. I was being careful. All right, is that better? Now, does that work for everybody? Okay. So, we've been doing a lot of negotiating behind the scenes for different things. We've gotten help from the superintendent's office in terms of childcare and interpretation and those pieces. We're going to provide some food for the two events. I'll need some help with somebody giving me some ideas on what we can order or whatever. Maybe I could tap you, Mildred, to help me with that. We have two spaces. We have Kelly and then we have the high school, and those have been reserved for the appropriate times. One would be 4:30 to 6 p.m. at Kelly School, and the other one would be 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the high school cafe for the community-involved forums. Our goal today is to finish up where we are. Gabby's going to lead from afar a little bit here, as they're the ones doing this piece of it, and then we're also going to be discussing how we're going to set up the tables and get people. Now, the challenge with this is there's always probably two types of outcomes. One is not very many people show up and you just talk to who's ever there, which is we want to get a bunch of people here. And then the second part of that is how do we get enough people gathered around at different tables to help us with this? I talk with my hands, that's why I pushed the mic back in the first place. That's why to get people to help set up discussion and get people to talk to each other at the tables. I am sure all of you have been through something like this in your careers at different points and different times. So we're looking forward to the help. We're not claiming we can do it all ourselves. So with that, I will turn it over to Gabby. We don't hear you now. Did you turn your mic back on? There we go.
There we go. I was muted this time.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen really quickly and revisit where we left off last time.
Excellent.
All right, so here we go. When I was there with you all last time, we did have the chance to review the slides and the agendas. The feedback from people overwhelmingly was they were excited about the format in terms of small groups, conversations, and being able to listen to everybody's voice. The concerns that people had were around the dates and the times as they were coordinated to happen over break, coordination around food, childcare, interpretation, and messaging, and then really a lot of time thinking about, are the questions that we're asking the right questions? Are we really going to get all the information that we need to get from this? And so as Eric was saying, we revisited those agendas and goals. We checked back in with Mildred. We've been coordinating with the mayor's office just to make sure that we have all of these logistical pieces lined up. We pushed back the timing for these events so that we can run two, one after the other, like Eric was saying. We'll also have a virtual event so people can participate virtually who aren't able to be there in person. We're setting up the registration for that now. We've reformatted and structured the questions so that we could take all of your feedback into account there. And then we really revisited the goal. There's twofold after talking to Mildred and listening to all your feedback. The two big goals that we really have, collecting some information on communication and what the community really wants for communication, but then also really focusing on gathering community input about the qualities and skills of the incoming superintendent. So really listening to those things. So these are the four focus questions that we've really narrowed it down to. What's working well with communication from the superintendent district and what can be improved? What are some things you think are going well with Holyoke Public Schools? What are some things Holyoke Public Schools can do better? And then with Holyoke transitioning from local control, what are the qualities and skills that are important in a superintendent? So those are the four proposed focus questions that we would be running and really collecting community voice on. And you can see here we have those broken down into the roles of the group. So if we look back at this agenda, I'm going to stop sharing this slide and I'm going to put the agenda back up. what we really see is, let me pull it up. In the advisory agenda, and I'm just going to walk everybody through this really quickly, and then I want to hear briefly talk about what the community advisory role is this, and then listen to any other questions or feedback that people have, what's working about this, and what else might we need to consider. So here is the agenda. And I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see it, and I'm going to hide this. So you can see we have two locations now, 4:30 to 6 at Kelly Elementary School, and then 6:30 to 8 at Holyoke High School. We have these two goals, to listen to feedback on that communication goal in particular, but most importantly, to listen to community perspectives on the qualities and skills for the superintendent role. We will start out with food and connections at tables. We'll do a history and an overview and sort of a purpose of this group, and we'll put that information together. Eric and I will be sharing that. We will have interpretation. We will have all of the slides coordinated so we can make sure that they're fully bilingual so that everybody's able to participate. After we go over that purpose and that broad view around collecting community input and helping with the transition from receivership to local control, we're going to talk about, people will break out into sessions. And this is where you as members of the community advisory team really come in. We'll have those 4 focus questions that we identified that are listed right here. We'll have poster paper at each table. And we'll have 5 to 7 people participating from the community. So depending on group size, we'll break people up into groups. We'll have to make sure that we indicate which of those sessions will be in Spanish and which will be in English so everybody can participate. And then we'll have people answer those questions and really participate. And as a community advisory team committee member, you'll be asking the questions, but you'll also be writing down the notes to what people are saying, or you might identify somebody in the group on the poster paper to write down all the notes that folks are saying. So we'll collect all of those. We have 15 minutes for each question. So you'll have to really kind of make sure that people are rotating through and everybody gets a chance to participate. And then what we can do is put those community posters up on the wall so that everybody's able to see them. And then we'll give everybody the opportunity to do a gallery walk, to walk around and look, to star, to like mark up the pieces that really resonate with them. And then we'll close out and we'll share next steps. We'll say where that information goes next and what the timeline for the process is going to be. And we'll remind people that there'll be a virtual session as well. This way we can collect that community input. As a community advisory team, after the session is over, we'll collect all of the information from both of the sessions and the virtual session. We'll get it all rolled up into themes to present back. And then as a community advisory team, we'll look at all that data together and we'll synthesize it and we'll make some recommendations based on that. So that's like a big picture overview with the changes based on the feedback that folks in this committee had recommended.
Right,
I want to open it up to see if there are any questions or comments or anything that's rising up for people now.
If we could just pass this between people, that would be good. Here you go.
Hey, Gabriella, it's Mildred. I just have a quick question. For when you're doing the questions, is it one table, like say you have 5 tables, each table is going to ask the same 4 questions, or are you going to do them like table 1 is asking question 1, and then people rotate as they go along through questions?
That's a great question, Mildred. Originally, I was thinking people would rotate through the questions, but I would really like to hear is that something that people in the CAT have a strong opinion about? I would love to hear what people think about that. It might be easier if people just stayed put, but I think we could also rotate. Let me know what you think.
Okay, my main concern is participation. So we need to get this out to the community and see if there is people that are actually going to attend this. And I think that's a really important point, so that, virtually, you can probably work that out. But in terms of people coming to these sites, really need to know exactly, not exactly, but ballpark of what people are planning to attend. Otherwise, we're all going to show up and, maybe 10 people arrive. We need to put this out to the community in a variety of ways so that we have an idea of some feedback of what's going to happen. The second thing is, I think every group should hear all 4 points. I think that's important, because if you rotate each question, you're not going to have a balance. But that's my opinion.
Thank you so
Somebody
much.
else?
That's what Ellie dropped in the chat too. And really quickly, we are working really hard to coordinate that communication right now with the mayor's office in terms of getting those blasts out. That was feedback that you all gave last time too, which is one of the reasons why we pushed the event back also. We really want to make sure that that communication goes out. We're going to send out flyers. We're going to have that blurbed. We're going to share it with other community partners so that we can really get a sense for more engagement there. And that was feedback that came from you all last time as well. So thank you for that.
And yes, I have talked to the superintendent's office and the mayor's office and a few others to try to get the word out there. Does somebody else have, where's the microphone right now?
I was going to
Oh, I'm
say,
sorry.
I agree with having people stay at the same table, one for language access, if you have a table speaking all Spanish or Haitian Creole, and the facilitator speaks and understands that language, it will keep the group together. I think it's also easier to monitor step up, step back in that way. If somebody's quiet and they're bouncing from table to table and they're with a different group, they may kind of be pushed to the side at each table. But I think as facilitators, we should have some guidelines on how to implement step up, step back to give everybody their speaking space.
I agree, keeping the groups together will allow for more cohesiveness that way. I like that idea.
And that also makes me think that we need to make sure we have those agreements clearly sort of named in that opening section
Yeah.
to set everybody up to be able to hold to those as facilitators. So I'll make sure that we have that as well. I'm just wondering from the group, that brings up the question, are there other agreements? I have some that I've used in settings like this, but are there step up, step back is one. Are there other agreements or expectations that you all would want to name on the front end for these groups?
Go
All
ahead.
voices are heard.
Staying
I
on
see
task
in
with the
the-
question.
Say again.
Staying on task with the question.
Staying on task, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like having in my own groups a talking piece that circulates. If you don't have
Good.
anything to contribute on that question, you're welcome to pass. But that ensures that everybody has a turn.
Yep.
It's a great one.
Thank you for sharing the microphone.
In case that people has any other question, we can have, like, when we do meetings, we have a parking lot space where we put all those questions in that space.
Okay, yep.
And then if we have
That's a
time at the
great one.
end, then we just, open discussion for that.
I think that's a really nice compliment to what we're talking about. Thank you.
How are we determining who is going to Holyoke High and who is going to
That
Kelly?
was going to be my next question. Are there people in this room who have a preference for either at this moment in time? Or Kelly? I would be really happy if people wanted to do both. I was not expecting it, that's all. But yes, if you can do both, that's even better, so. All right, I'm sending around the attendance sheet more and just, I've gotten to know people's names well enough, but just so I can make sure that we have everything we need. In this particular case, I'm gonna ask for an email so that I can shoot you an email as we get closer to the day and time. Did you hear any of that, Gabby?
Yeah, so I think that's exactly where we need to go next, is who can sign up for where, and if there are people that can do both, that's great.
Yeah, put it on
I
the
just
sheet.
put in the chat that the date is 5/19.
Yep.
Again, and then the virtual session will be on 5/21, and you all are welcome to join that as well.
Let me know. I've got to get heading out.
Yep.
I don't know if everybody's aware, but Destiny will be at our meeting at 5 o'clock.
Hold on.
Give the exit assurances in person.
He's running with the mic.
I just have a quick question. Desi has just appointed a new person.
That will not be the one who will be providing the exit assurances. It's going to be the Secretary of Education, who's the interim commissioner, Dr. Tutwiler. But yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys were all aware, but they'll be there for the 5 o'clock start of the meeting.
Excellent.
So Mildred,
this-
we will try to wrap up a little bit early, so folks who want to attend that will be able to join into that too.
So for those that did the sign-in sheet, you gave me an email, and put down if you have a preference of whether you want to do one or both. I got the feeling there was a pretty good feeling of doing both for a number of people in here, which I really appreciate, and I know the city will really appreciate. That makes it easier, knowledge base and flow and everything else that works out.
I have Eric Ellie is with us, Ellie Wilson is with us virtually, and she says that she'll probably be able to make both, but she'll have to double check her calendar.
Okey doke.
So if we want to add that note to the sign-in, so we don't
I
forget.
got it.
Thank you, Ellie, we appreciate it. I know Eric and I are also just incredibly grateful for the feedback that you all provided. It really did allow us to go in and make the agenda stronger, to get those questions to be the right questions that we were asking, and to really think about how can we pull in more people to be more engaged in this event. So we're just really appreciative for the feedback that you all provided last meeting.
I am not trying to open it back up, but I got the feeling, since there weren't any comments on the questions, that the people that are here are comfortable with the questions as they're phrased now. Thank you, that's good. So I think
Do you
that,
want me to
keep going.
share, do you want me to put those back up, or do people feel okay with them? They were the ones that we worked through
Yeah,
last time. I think that
right.
we had kind of all worked through those together.
Yep.
Is there anything folks feel like we missed in that feedback? Is there any perspective that is still missing that we want to consider?
That's a good sign. I'll take quiet as a good sign. By all means, send me or Gabby or both of us an email. We're happy to include something we've missed if obviously. This is not for us, this is for you.
Does anyone have any other additional questions about sort of the flow of the event? I know we did talk through it already once. In the virtual event, we'll mirror this very similarly, only we'll be in breakout rooms that way. But are there any other questions about the event itself?
There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but go ahead.
Yeah, my question is gonna be allowed like public comments for people that can make it but wanna give their answers to be considered to that meeting?
Say that again?
If they're gonna be allowed for public comments for people
Yeah.
that cannot make it and
Oh.
wanted to put their answers to be considered for that day, for those
I
days.
don't see why not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that could be something, that open more comments and look perspective from people.
I think that's, yes, the short answer to that is yes.
Can I just clarify? So the question is to open up to open comments too, or on the
Like-
virtual session to have open comments?
I think it's both. It's just to be allowed to have public comment so we can incorporate public comment into the answers that we're collecting. Which is a public meeting, so it's part of what we got to do anyway. And people that can't, yes. I think that should work out. I mean, we'll know if we get something that's off base.
I love the idea of a parking lot too for some of those
Yep.
things. These are such great ideas. What a wonderful group of people with great brains.
I apologize because this might have been already mentioned or asked before, but I would like to hear what the publicity has been for this event and how we're getting the word out, and if we're working with partner groups who are specifically inviting people to come with them. I'm thinking about, like in Springfield, there was an event where effectively they were able to get the union on board, and the goal was like, you know, every union rep in every building should try to make sure that they know of, 10 parents and, families who are coming.
Yep.
And just to get a distributed across the city number of people who are coming in the right perspectives.
That
We've
is
Go
a
ahead.
really good idea. I love that. I just wrote that down.
Yeah, and actually echoing what Meg said, it's important that this doesn't come only from a centralized communication from the school district, because, and I will be brutally transparent, I don't trust they will do it or they will do it effectively. So it needs to be done by people who actually get to know how to communicate with people and actually get people to come to these meetings.
Okay,
Excuse me, how do you see that happening?
yeah.
Us, we can connect with people that we know. We can connect with other nonprofit organizations in the city that connect with families. So that way, that distribution of information can be more effective.
Like, ways as
Nueva Esperanza, Enlace de Familias, Homework House.
I think you should reach out to those groups too. Yeah.
And we did put together a flyer too, so what I'm hearing from this is reaching out to other organizations and nonprofits in Holyoke and sharing that information. And Eric and I can do some of that outreach.
Yep.
And then also reaching out to schools and the union and getting them on board, because that perspective is going to be really important as well. So I think that those are two really good concrete steps. And then for people on, I heard also this third idea for people on the committee itself to start doing some outreach. And as soon as we have those flyers done and ready, we can share those out with you, and you can share some of those too. So Eric, maybe in that follow-up email that we send,
Yep.
we can include some of the flyers for people so that they have them as well.
That's perfectly fine.
Are we still doing the survey as well for folks who aren't able to attend with the same questions?
We are revamping the survey because we got a lot of feedback that it was not as good as it could be. So that's sort of the next piece.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And I wanted to pick up a thread that's here. I'll talk to you when the meeting's done about who we can contact, but if you have people you want to contact, by all means do. We want to get people out to this without a doubt, so.
Okay, the other point that I would just like to make going forward, and this is, there's nothing we can really know about this, but DESE is meeting tonight. So if they're putting parameters on the school system in whatever form, how is this going to impact the superintendent being appointed, and what does the city have? City councilors, school committee, how's that going to impact them? I think that's an important thing to look at.
Okay.
That is such an important point, and I know that's one of the reasons why Mildred wanted to be here, but then she also had to get to that other meeting. She wants to make sure that this committee in particular is informed of all of those goings-ons. All right, I'm gonna summarize like some of the takeaways that I'm hearing are making sure that we have agreements on the front end of the slides. When we do the breakout groups or hold people in the same group, so they'll be seated at the same table. We are gonna do some really targeted outreach to partner groups so that we can really make sure that we have strong representation from all the various communities in Holyoke. And we have a list of those, but if you have other ideas, feel free to reach out. We want to make sure that we also have follow-up and communication between each of these meetings that's happening and some of the things that are happening at the school committee level as well with DESI, so that there's like a clear understanding there. Is there anything else that I'm missing or that we want to consider for this community forum?
I just had one more thought. What I was trying to say before was, yes, I think it's important to reach out to groups, but I think a person-to-person model is way more effective. It's way better for someone to reach out and say, hey, I'm going, will you come with me? Than for someone to see it on a flyer or to see it posted by an organization. And so I think a person-to-person model is way more effective at getting a representative cross-sample of families in the room. So if principals are told, reach out to 10 families and ask them to come. If teachers are empowered, hey, make sure that your parents know this event is coming up and invite them to come. You could reach out to them on Class Dojo and encourage them to attend. I think those things are more effective than posts or flyers. And I also think the union might be interested in supporting as well, in terms of encouraging teachers to, encourage them to reach out to families and share.
And I know I'm going to be in Holyoke again on Wednesday at middle school campuses too. So that's something that I can definitely connect with people then about. That person-to-person model is a great suggestion. Is there anything else?
Have we missed something? I know this is, I don't want to hold you up on your days if we don't have to, so.
For which meeting we can and should attend, will you send out kind of like a sign-up email?
That's what I was thinking in my head as we were saying is,
Okay.
tell me which day you're going to attend.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wrote down on the paper a suggestion that you should ask people what languages they'd be comfortable facilitating in to make sure that you have people that can do Spanish split between the two groups. We do have a pretty decent Haitian population in Holyoke, so a lot of the Haitian families do speak English or Spanish, but also maybe if there's somebody who could facilitate in Haitian Creole or French as well to have that option available if needed. I also want to mention the person-to-person model. I think that we should all be held accountable to that as this group. There's a lot of us that aren't here today, but we should each be able to say, get 3 people or whatever to come from our circles.
This is going just fine. It's going to be, from my perspective, it's going to be very interesting because I've seen sort of from the very beginning, and now we're here. And being a local resident, I keep track politically what's going on, and I know this has been a really big deal in Holyoke. And I just think that it's really interesting and cool the way the city's going to take this back. And despite those exit things that DESI wants to put on it, it's coming back to Holyoke. It's definitely coming back. Excuse me. Are we good? I think we are good. This worked out better than I had hoped when we first started and nothing was working.
I am so appreciative to everybody for coming out the second time, just so that we could follow up and really just make sure that this agenda represents what you all think is the right format, the right questions. We really want this to be something that you feel like is the right direction to go in for this. So if anything else happens, you all have been really good about communicating via email afterwards or after the fact. If you have any other ideas, let Eric and I know. We really, your feedback is invaluable, and it is really going to help make this event more successful. And that is really important, to get all the voices that we can to these tables and in these forums. So
I'm going to do something.
Keep us posted if anything else comes up.
I'm going to do something here. I'll give you my cell phone right now. If you have anything you want to call me about with regards to this, by all means do. Yep. That's all right. I can trust this crowd. It's 413-687. Blah, 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 blah. All right, thank you for the warning. Just being generous. Just being generous, that's all. All right. I'm going to shut off this mic before I get in trouble. I'll get the hot mic problem. Are we good? We're good? Thank you, Gabby. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, everybody, and I'll see you very soon, okay? Bye-bye.